All right, Steeler fans, it is time to get you behind enemy lines for Week 15 Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh. They're going to be honoring the Hall of Honor team. They're wearing their Color Rush uniforms, and the team they'll be playing are the Miami Dolphins. And there's a lot of storylines here. I welcome in Taylor from our Finsanity Podcast of Fans First Sports Network. What's up, Taylor? How are you?
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to be not only part of Fans First Sports Network. This is the first NFL season I've covered with you guys, and this is my first guest spot on a podcast. So I'm excited to talk about some Dolphins football.
Well, let's start off with the obvious. Let's start off with the trade. We're talking about Minkah Fitzpatrick going back to the team he was drafted by out of Alabama. Let's talk about Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith. When you heard the trade, and we're backtracking all the way to the offseason, what was your reaction to that trade?
Well, it depends, because there's like a few hours in between, right?
Sure.
Where the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade happens and then the Jonnu Smith trade happens.
Yeah.
The Minkah trade happens, I'm extremely excited about it because Jalen Ramsey, he was a fantastic player for the Miami Dolphins, but by that time, it was pretty clear that he wanted out, and it would be best just to get what you can for him. I had no belief that would be somebody like Minkah Fitzpatrick. I thought it'd be like a fourth-round pick or something, to be honest with you, because you know the way the NFL kind of works with that.
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic with the Minkah part of this. Then you get to the Jonnu Smith part. You know, he broke franchise records with the Miami Dolphins last season for a single season receiving record for the tight end position. So that part of it really sucked. But what's your take on it? Because both players have been a little iffy from what I've seen.
Well, I would say that from the Steelers' perspective, and again, this is just my perspective, Jalen Ramsey has been as advertised. They were never sold on him being that outside corner, lock down the number one guy anymore. He was probably going to be in the slot a lot, and they had even talked about moving him to safety. No one foresaw them losing Deshaun Elliott long-term. No one foresaw them getting rid of Juan Thornhill and having some adjustments made and trading for Kyle Duggar. He has fit well into that safety role, and he reminds a lot of fans, me included, of Minkah Fitzpatrick when he was back there. Maybe not as versatile, but still very aware, very physical, and he's been doing everything they've asked him to do. Jonnu Smith, though, is the one that just feels like it just doesn't fit for whatever reason, and even an Arthur Smith scheme that is very tight end friendly or oriented, it just hasn't fit yet. They're using him a lot, but he's not the best blocker. They're not getting him in space, and when they do, it's more horizontal than vertical. He and Aaron Rodgers haven't been on the same page. So that was going to lead me to my next question, which is now entering Week 15. How do you view the trade at this juncture?
Look, Chris Greer, he is no longer the Miami Dolphins GM, thank God. But I will say, for this trade, it seems like it's worked out pretty well for the Miami Dolphins. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been arguably either the best player on the defense or the second best player. Personally, I think Jordan Brooks has been absolutely phenomenal. But Minkah Fitzpatrick's just been consistently good throughout the season for the Dolphins. And they moved him into the nickel role. They moved him at safety. Like, he's been doing some things that I don't think the Dolphins probably originally wanted him to do. But we had some injuries over with Jason Marshall Jr. and Kader Kohu before the season, who was going to play on the outside. So I think just the circumstances forced that. And then when you look at Jonnu Smith, what he's done, I totally agree with you. From the outside looking in, I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have family members who are Steeler fans, so I pay attention to them as well. It does feel like Jonnu is just a weird kind of outsider in a way to that Pittsburgh offense. And that sucks considering the last season he had.
It's definitely interesting. And let's kind of shift our focus now to the Dolphins and getting Steeler fans acquainted. This was a team that a lot of people had dead to rights. They were done. They fired the general manager, as you mentioned. A lot of people thought the head coach was going to be the next to go, and he still might get fired, but it hasn't happened yet. And they're playing for him. And I think that says a lot about him as a coach and his locker room presence. And they've also rattled off some wins. They've won their last 4 games. It goes all the way back to when the Ravens beat them on Thursday night. What's going right for the Dolphins right now?
Well, starting with the offense, they're running the ball very well. They had over 200, I believe, 240 yards against the New York Jets on Sunday, and Devon Achane did not play in the second half. He had a rib injury. He could have came back, it seems, from what Mike McDaniel said, but they wanted to keep him out for, I guess, precautionary reasons.
Right.
So they're running the ball very well. The offensive line is very, I don't want to say they're very good, but they're gelling together very nicely right now. And then defensively, they're a unit that's also very young and progressing throughout the season. Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips, the two D tackles they have, they started off very well. At least Kenneth Grant started off very poorly, but he's really come on strong as of late. Same with Jordan Phillips. And then Zach Sealer has been lights out for him. So they've been stopping the run. They've been playing very energized defense, I would say. Okay. And they've been running the ball very well.
So let's go to the offensive side. And I want to ask you a simple question. What was going on then that wasn't working that seems to be working now? Is it all just about the running game and that they're committed to it? Does that take it out of Tua's hands? Was he the issue early on? What's your take on that?
I would say that, and this is just my perspective as a dumb fan, I don't think Mike McDaniel trusts Tua.
Oh, okay.
I really don't. And I know there's reports out there talking about them and it possibly being a package deal. McDaniel comes back, all that kind of stuff. But when you watch the games and you watch situations that the Dolphins could push downfield, they don't. They'd rather not. And their passing game is something that I do feel like is really struggling right now. They got to find a way to get it going. And there's a lot of just throws that I feel that Tua used to make in 2022, 2023 that he's flat out missing these days. And that's really unfortunate.
So I want to ask you too, the Miami Dolphins, when you look at their record, they're 6-7. They've only won 2 games on the road. Have you noticed anything there? Now, they just came off a road win in MetLife Stadium against the Jets. But have you noticed anything in that regard? I found that very interesting when I was looking at the schedule, and I was like, wow, they haven't won a lot of games on the road.
I don't think that's necessarily played a massive factor into things. Okay. Now, granted, there is the historical aspect of this, right? Like the Miami Dolphins historically have not played well going on the road, especially here in November, December, and to the cold. And Monday night, it's going to be a cold night in Pittsburgh. So I could see that playing a major role. So I could see it being a factor, but I don't want to say that's been a key part of their winning ways as of
Hey, fair enough. Now, when I look back after that Thursday night loss to Baltimore, here's the point totals the Dolphins have allowed in their games. Against the Bills, they held them to 13. The Commanders in overtime, 13. The Saints, 17. And the Jets, 10. Now, I think we can all say that outside of the Bills, that's not like the who's who in the NFL of offenses, but the defense is doing their job. What are they doing so well right now?
I would say, like I was mentioning earlier, stopping the run and really just the unit getting better. Jack Jones has had a lot of really good games as of late, especially the Washington Commanders game in Madrid. Yeah. And then you have Rasul Douglas, who was a late addition to this unit. He was lights out against the Jets. Granted, it's the Jets. They were playing an undrafted free agent quarterback from Missouri, Brady Cook, there, and they just couldn't get much going. But you can only play who's in front of you, So I would say a lot of the younger players have progressed and played a lot better. Then you have some stalwarts like Jordan Brooks and Minkah Fitzpatrick being consistently good pieces. And then you have guys like Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas making plays when they need to make plays.
Okay, so I often ask my guests this question, and we do it offense and defense separately. So let's start on the offense. If you were, in this case, a Pittsburgh Steelers defensive coordinator, and you're drawing up a plan for the Miami Dolphins offense and trying to stop them, what does that plan look like?
I would load up the box and make the Miami Dolphins throw the football.
Okay.
That sounds wild to say in 2025, considering what the last few years have been. But I would rather take my chances against Tua and that passing offense that the Dolphins offense too. That's the thing. They've been running the ball, but there's times where they've tried to get that passing game going. They've abandoned the run a little bit to try to get that passing game jump started. And yeah, there's flashes of it. Jalen Waddle will make plays. Greg Dulcich, who they picked up in midseason, the tight end, he's been making some plays too. But again, it goes back to those simple plays that Tua would make that he just has been inconsistent at this season. So if I was the Steelers defensive coordinator, it would be all about Devon Achane. It would be about Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon, stopping that running game and being like, hey, if Tua can beat us in the cold, go do it.
That's going to be tough. The Steelers have given up over 200 yards on the ground the last 2 weeks. It's not been pretty in the run stopping. The Steelers getting Derek Harmon back possibly this week. Mike Tomlin on Tuesday said that he is questionable. I mean, he's not listed as questionable, but he's going to be limited as he returns. When he is on the field, their first-round draft pick out of Oregon, they've held teams under 100 yards rushing. When he's not, it's almost 100 yards difference in favor of the running game. So that's going to be tough. We'll see. Keep an eye on that name. Let's go to the other side now. So you're now Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. You're going up against that Miami defense. How do you try to exploit it?
I would say you tried. Well, see, this is kind of also difficult considering what you mentioned the last 5 weeks for the Miami Dolphins defense, how just dominant they've been. I would say you try to go and get mismatches like DK Metcalf, for example, who I know his status for that game. Wasn't he hospitalized after?
Yeah, Tomlin did say on Tuesday that he was he's basically okay, but they're going to ease him back into it. He was having some abdominal pain. He took a shot, not a physical shot, but he took a hit in his abdomen and had some stomach pain. So they held him back out of precautionary purposes. So he should be in the lineup, I would assume.
Yeah, and historically, it feels like my entire lifetime as a Miami Dolphins fan, they've struggled to really cover the tight end and the receiving running backs. So Kenneth Gainwell for you guys, Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth, and yeah, even Jonnu Smith. They're guys that when I do the show every Friday, Finsanity, I talk about matchups that I'm a bit worried about. And I can guarantee you when I do Friday's show, I'm going to be talking about that tight end group. I'm going to be talking about Kenneth Gainwell. Probably won't be talking about Aaron Rodgers as much, not like a shot Aaron Rodgers, but the Dolphins also tend to struggle a bit to scrambling quarterbacks. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that anymore. So I won't be talking about him too much, but at least the tight end position and the running backs, I think I will.
That's interesting. What's the pass rush look like for Miami right now? I haven't looked up the stats yet and looked deep into it, but are they getting after the quarterback, or is that not necessarily their bread and butter?
It's gotten a lot better over the last few weeks. It really has. Chop Robinson's been getting back into the lineup. He hasn't been getting the snaps that I think many Dolphin fans, including myself, were expecting him to have this season. But he had, I believe, 1 sack last week against the Jets. Zach Sealer starting to get back into it. He had 2.5 sacks against the Jets. And then you have guys like Bradley Chubb, who is being a very good role player right now on this team as a starter. Matthew Judon getting some snaps in there too. So I think it's been kind of just a team effort in terms of pressure.
All right, last question before I get you out of here. It's early in the process, and we haven't even seen an injury report yet with it being on Monday Night Football. I want to ask you, right now, the current spread, as we're recording this, is the Steelers are giving 3 points. That's your standard home field advantage spread there, with a total of 42.5. Again, I don't need a score prediction, but in the early stages of you looking at this game, what do you think? How do you think this is going to play out?
I see it being, this is going to sound not very fun to watch, but I see it being a bit of a slugfest.
Okay.
But I don't think it's necessarily because, both offenses will be bad. I think it's just both defenses. This feels like a game where they could really shine. Monday Night Football in the cold. Both defenses have been a little wishy-washy over the season, but I don't know. I just get that feeling that this is going to be more of a slugfest than what I guess some games have been on Monday Night Football.
You have a good feeling for your Dolphins, or do you think this might be a tough one for them?
This is the toughest matchup they've had
in
a long stretch here since that Bills game. Yeah. So I got a good feeling, strangely enough. And I wouldn't if they were still trying to press that ball downfield, still trying to throw the ball all the time. But this changed. The way Mike McDaniel has shifted the offense to Devon Achane to this offensive line that their strengths are towards run blocking, that's an identity that I think can really win in November and December. So I know I'm a Dolphin fan on a Steeler podcast here, and I'm sitting here going like, I got a good feeling about the Miami Dolphins here. But I think it could be a tough matchup for both teams.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, you root for your teams. That's why we do this at Fans First Sports Network. But Taylor, I want to give you an opportunity to plug, whether it's social media handles, your podcast, when you drop them, all that stuff. Do that now.
Yeah, I have a Miami Dolphins podcast called Finsanity. It drops new episodes on Monday and Fridays. I talk about, game recaps, game previews. Here over the last few weeks, as the draft process has been getting going, I've been talking about some draft prospects that I have on my radar as a Miami Dolphins fan. So like certain fits, that kind of thing. You can find me over at Delusional Fins on X, and you can pretty much find Finsanity on any podcasting platform.
That's awesome. Taylor, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the game, and we'll be in touch, I'm sure. Take it easy.
All right, man.